Hi Slayers, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eileen, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the year 2016, which was certainly a year. So if you don't know, there's been this trend going around where everyone is saying that 2026 is going to be just like 2016 because it's now been 10 years since 2016, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today and maybe some ways that we can incorporate some of the whimsy that was from 2016 into 2026. Now I do want to do a very big disclaimer though, in saying that I'm not trying to overly romanticize 2016. There was a lot of things that were not great about 2016, and, you know, namely some elections that happened in 2016 that are just, like, not quite the vibe that we're looking for in 2026. However, there are a lot of fun things to look back on with a nostalgic lens, and I'm going to try to extract some of that whimsy and maybe, like, interpret it into how we can use that to make 2026 funsy and slay. So yes, if you're wondering why I look kind of insane, I did try to be on theme today and do my makeup. I feel so dry on my face. I put so much powder on, and I also of course did braids, put a little choker on, put a flower crown on, because like I said, we are going to be trying to encapsulate the joy and whimsy from what we remember in 2016. And to be real, a lot of that is going to be embracing our inner cringe, okay? 2016, at least for me, I had a slightly different 2016 than some people. 2016 in itself was kind of cringe, okay? People were dabbing, people were wearing bright makeup, people were like outwardly singing the lyrics to Hamilton in their daily life, and I'm not here to shit on any of that, because to be quite honest, I had a great time in 2016 embracing my cringe, and I like to enthuse that in my channel to be as cringe as you want. Let's go ahead and talk about a couple of things that were just very 2016-y, and I will talk a little bit about who I was in 2016. So 10 years ago, I was in middle school, and to be fair, 2016 was my personal first year of, like, consciousness. That's probably when I started to become the human I am today, and I was having a slightly different reaction to 2016 because I was very deep into my emo phase, and so there was this whole emo 2016 phase that was really booming then, and I really found like a great place to start out my emo phase in, to be fair. So I was just listening to Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance all day long, and I was going onto Tumblr and to Instagram, and I was saving every single post that I could about my special interests, bands, and I was reading so much fanfiction, okay? So that is not exactly what was happening in the world. The world was also, while it was having this like small emo phase moment as well, there was also a lot of other things, like Coachella, the Kardashians were huge, there were so many makeup artists, like, booming, James Charles, Jeffree Star, so many YouTubers. YouTube was such an important cultural moment in 2016. The mannequin challenge was happening, Hamilton had just come out, people were dabbing, like I said, the Whip and Nene was, like, super popular the year before, and there was just so much happening, to be fair, in 2016, and that's kind of why I feel like it's such a fun year to explore, because pop culture was just, like, exploding everywhere. And I mean, it had done that in years prior, like 2015, 2014, whatever, but I also just feel like 2016, for whatever reason, seems to be super memorable to people. So essentially, I was having a great time being a massive nerd, I was a huge theater kid, and I was living a very interesting life with a very interesting haircut. So my perspective is going to be a little bit different than everyone else's perspective, and that's totally fine. I mean, everyone had a slightly different 2016, but just from what I remember, what I was doing in 2016 and what I was seeing around me, here are some ways that you can incorporate 2016 vibes into your life today. Okay, so I know I mentioned how big YouTube was, but if you want to feel very nostalgic for 2016, go back and watch some old 2016 YouTube videos. YouTube at the time was just insane. I mean, personally, I was watching a lot of Dan and Phil, and they were having a great time blowing up and everything. But there was also so much makeup guru trends happening. I watched so many makeup videos in 2016. I was trying to get a cut crease, I was trying to do my winged eyeliner, I was trying to have my lips be as dry as the Sahara Desert, and so going back and just watching some of these videos purely for nostalgic reasons. I really don't support most of these YouTubers now. They've all pretty much been canceled, but maybe just for some light research purposes to go back and rewatch a video, and maybe you can take that nostalgia and decide in 2026 to start your own cringe YouTube channel and maybe have less drama on it. But having a YouTube channel, I feel like, is inherently a very 2016 thing, especially it depends on like the type of style you create. I know I watched a lot of like bed content. I know that sounds awful. That's not what I mean. I just mean for whatever reason in 2016 YouTubers were like sitting on their bed making videos, which is exactly what I'm doing now, but it's because I was watching so much YouTube in those formative years in 2016 when I was 11. And so I just feel like there is nothing really more cringe than having your own YouTube channel and trying to be like, hey, I have a YouTube channel. Embrace it. Like, it's fun. It's a great hobby to have, and this could be the year that you start that hobby. Okay, my next idea is to watch or listen to a musical you haven't watched or seen in a while. I know this is a very theater kid thing of me to say, and I am usually not like super theater kid anymore, but in 2016 I certainly was, and Hamilton was so big in my school. I went to a school of the arts because of course I did, and it was just everywhere. My friends had a journal where they would just exclusively write the Hamilton lyrics down and like pass it around, and that was just how we had fun in middle school. So like I said, that's probably like just a me experience, but it's fun to revisit good musicals because musicals are actually good and you can have a fun time, and sometimes you might not be making a lot of room for like seeing live arts or even like going back and listening or watching old musical movies. And I highly recommend going and seeing some sort of live theater at some point in your life. Even if it's not something you do all the time, it's great to support your local artists, and the stories can be really fun. You can learn a lot of them. My personal favorite musical is Rent, and even better if you can go see it on Broadway. But I just feel like because 2016 is like pre-pandemic, this idea of like going to big live events is really important and really like nostalgic and feels good about 2016. And so embracing that now that we're post-pandemic might feel good. And I mean, you might be embracing that all the time. I like to go to live shows all the time, but it's just a good thing to keep in the forefront of your mind, like, maybe I should go see live theater, maybe I should engage in watching some musicals because it might make me feel like I did 10 years ago. Okay, the next thing I think will be really fun is having a little photo shoot with your friends. Like, have a staged photo shoot, get a digicam, or just get your iPhone and make like a 2016 themed photo shoot. I personally would love to do this, but you also, like, it doesn't have to be 2016. I just think the essence of doing a staged photo shoot with your friends is very 2016. So have fun and do a little staged photo shoot. Bonus points if you bring like a Polaroid along. I think that's very Tumblr of you and very fun and a good way to get outside of the house and make some photos, make some content. And also a big part of 2016 was just like the photos and the style of photos. It was like using your iPhone 6S to take the most glamorous Snapchat filter photo you've ever seen and putting all kinds of crazy heavy filters on it on Instagram. And in a way, it just made 2016 ephemera very distinct, and so it's kind of fun to look back on. In that same vein, 2016 was pretty casual in terms of posting, so make a little casual Instagram post. We're making Instagram casual again. I feel like Instagram has become significantly more casual in the past like couple years, and so add to that trend, make a little casual photo dump, and have some fun with social media. Social media is, I think it's supposed to be fun for the most part. I feel like I remember having more fun on social media in 2016 than I remember having it now. And there's a lot to be said about that. I mean, yes, we're in such an age of saturation and algorithms that pull you in and doom scrolling all the time. But in 2016, yes, there was some of that for sure. Like, social media was definitely a thing, but I don't personally remember doom scrolling forever, hours on end. And so, you know, maybe bring back the idea of social media in moderation and like for actual legit fun. I feel like that's like a vibe we can take into 2026. You don't have to be completely anti-social media, but like maybe acknowledging, hey, there are fun parts of it, but like I'm not going to be consumed by it all the time. Let's bring back little pranks, okay? Let's prank our friends. Let's do a mannequin challenge, okay? It's funny. It was a good little trend and I liked it. I liked doing it. Like, I remember my entire class did it to my teacher one time. It's fun. If you have like a group of friends that likes little jokes like that, or even some like really chill coworkers, I think it could be fun to bring back some little pranks and maybe time to invent a new type of mannequin challenge. There was such a fun innocence to doing a little prank on someone that I think we should bring back at least some of that like fun little prankster vibe. I also think, I mean, this is maybe not gone away, but bringing back a little game, especially a little game on your phone, sounds pretty fun to me. Personally, I'm a Crossy Road lover. I still play Crossy Road and it like comes and goes for me, but I love playing Crossy Road and that was like very 2016 for me. But I just feel like I used to have so many more little games on my phone than I do now, and so bringing back a fun little game. There was Pokemon Go. I personally wasn't like a Pokemon Go fan, but I do remember seeing so much Pokemon Go content, and I liked the idea of the game. I mean, you had to go outside and find little creatures. That sounds cool. Among Us was like a great little blip where everyone was like downloading this mobile game and we all had fun playing it, and so I feel like something similar to that would be fun. Or maybe we should just all get back in on Crossy Road together. The next thing that you could do to embrace some 2016 vibes is to do your makeup very creatively. Okay, have fun with it. How often do you get to do your makeup and are like, oh my gosh, this was so fun, even though I would never wear this outside, I just wanted to experiment a little and be creative. I feel like it's so easy to be creative and like see a bunch of creative hobbies on TikTok and stuff, like coloring or like journaling or junk journaling or filmmaking or photography or whatever, but you hardly see people like just doing their makeup for fun. Usually they are like people who already know how to do their makeup and are like doing it professionally or like semi-professionally. But I'm talking like just do a crazy cut crease and then take it off and shower. We call that pre-shower makeup or like shower makeup. It's just fun to do sometimes. And when was the last time you did it? I don't know. Even if you're like someone that doesn't do makeup or hardly owns makeup, like you could find a really cheap little palette and just like experiment a little. It's fun. You could even invite friends over to do it. And I just love a girly little sleigh time doing my makeup in my bathroom mirror. And honestly, I had so much fun putting this on today. I feel like I look insane. Like I probably don't look too different on camera. Well, actually, I have no idea, but I feel like I look so different. I feel like I should be making a boomerang in it now. And actually, I think that, like, all of this kind of cultivates to say that experimenting with your personal style or, like, your makeup or some part about you in 2026 is fun to do and is okay to do, and you can have fun and be yourself and express yourself, and I encourage that. Now, of course, one of my favorite ways to feel an era through everything is to watch, read, listen to media from that time. So in terms of books, I love a good little 2016 vibe. Some of my favorites that are maybe like not necessarily published in 2016, but were like pretty popular when I was in this era at least, and kind of bring me that vibes are The Fault in Our Stars, for sure. So much so that in 2016, somebody stole my copy of Fault in Our Stars in my locker, and I'm totally not salty about it still to this day. Really, anything by John Green, like in his fiction era, is going to be pretty 2016-y vibes. I remember Percy Jackson was a really big thing. I mean, maybe it was because I was in middle school and like he's 12 in the books, but like Percy Jackson was a big thing in 2016. There was a pretty active fandom, and hey, the show is streaming now, so, you know, you can probably work that in somehow. I believe Six of Crows, which is like one of my favorite book series, the last book was coming out in 2016. So if you haven't heard of Six of Crows, it's a really fun story about found family with a great cast of diverse characters. It's a YA fantasy and they go on a heist. So let me just sell that to you really quick. And then, of course, in terms of like movies and shows, there were so many good things that were coming out in 2016. The biggest of which that I can remember is La La Land. La La Land was everywhere, and to be fair, it was an amazing movie. I'm so glad I got to see it in theaters. I saw it in theaters at like midnight. It was so magical, and it's a very magical rewatch. I love La La Land, and it's been a long time since I've heard about the film, but I remember in 2016 it was everywhere. Also, Zootopia came out in 2016, and I just went and watched Zootopia Zootopia 2 and it was fantastic, so, you know, maybe engaging in some 2016 media will be fun and good for your soul. There was also Stranger Things, which was coming out, which just ended recently, so a lot of things are spanning this 10-year mark, and it's looking like a pretty good 10 years to have had. And so like 10 years ago, I was on screen looking at them and being like, wow, they're my age, and now 10 years later, I'm like, wow, they're my age, so that's pretty cool. Hidden Figures also came out, and I really loved that movie, so I feel like 2016 was just having a great movie show type of vibe era. Just going back and basically watching whatever you watched in 2016 is probably a fun way to spend a night of nostalgia, or to revisit a TV show with a new 10-year older lens. Another movie that came out that blew up in 2016 was Suicide Squad, and there was, for Halloween that year, every girl was Harley Quinn. That movie was crazy, and it was really a cultural phenomenon for a long time after that. And then, of course, music in 2016. You can go find a playlist on Spotify and relive all kinds of 2016 vibes. 21 Pilots and the Chainsmokers, Rihanna, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake. There was just so many kinds of music happening. Fall Out Boy, you know, Panic! At the Disco, like, everything was just having a very distinct sound and a very, like, distinct memory. I can go back and listen to 2016 music and be like, wow, I feel like I'm in 2016. And then something else that we can embrace in 2016 is, like, creative writing, and maybe I mean reading creative writing, maybe I mean reading fan fiction, but maybe I just mean reading something that is fun and whimsical to you, or writing something that's fun and whimsical to you. I feel like poetry was a big thing in 2016. I say that as someone who joined the poetry club, but there was like button poetry happening and all kinds of little like fun creative writing moments happening, and Tumblr was a big source for that, so going and revisiting Tumblr, maybe not staying for too long, but hey, maybe staying for long, and looking at some of those old posts and getting some inspiration, or even just revisiting some of the Tumblr pins on Pinterest. You could probably find a decent vibe and some fun little creative writing and like blog post style things that are not like drenched in AI. And then something that hasn't really left, but I am in full support of, is having a little silly dance moment. I mean, in 2016, we were fresh off the Whippet Nene, we were dabbing, we were doing little musically dances, and it's kind of the same in 2026. We are doing TikTok dances as like a collective society. Personally, I'm not doing TikTok dances, but I like the idea of what a TikTok dance stands for. It's just fun. You don't need to be a professional dancer to do a TikTok dance. You could just straight up have fun. You can have fun with your friends, and you can make a little silly dance. And if there's nothing more embracing your cringe about doing a TikTok dance, then being cringe is fun. And I like that TikTok dances have a certain amount of whimsy and a certain amount of confidence to them, even though I'm not saying I like every single TikTok dance that's ever been across my For You page. Just in general, I like the vibe, and I like putting that energy into 2026 as well. Do a silly little dance. You don't have to post it to the internet. You can keep your digital footprint, but do a silly little dance, and maybe you'll feel some form of joy and whimsy that transports you back to 2016, or maybe you'll just feel happy that you did a little dance in 2026. Anyway, Slayers, I hope that if you lived through 2016, you somewhat corroborate these memories I'm having and these types of vibes that I'm trying to get across to you. I hope that this video itself kind of gave you 2016 vibes. If not, you know, I'm sorry, it was just painful to watch, probably. And if you didn't live through 2016, I hope that you understand that when we're talking about 2016, I think collectively we kind of just miss the nostalgia of 2016 and how slightly insane pop culture was at the time. And we can recognize that there were absolutely faults to 2016, but also there was a lot of fun things happening, and 2016 in general wasn't such a bad year. It kind of felt like summer all year long, and there was just all kinds of things happening, all kinds of little niches to explore. So I hope you had fun going along this little nostalgic journey with me, and I hope you embrace your cringe in 2026. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later. Bye!